Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to go over the Bitcoin chart. In my opinion, Bitcoin is a proxy for risk assets, for tech stocks in particular, the NASDAQ. And it's showing some quite interesting technical signs. Firstly, we're looking at a 4-hour candlestick chart. Of course, the record high was around the $126,000 level that we saw in October, so a few weeks ago. We can see there's a little bit of a complex or odd looking head and shoulders pattern. You've got the left shoulder there, the head. You can see it's quite a technical sort of head. In fact, there's a little mini head and shoulders pattern there, which broke. Head and shoulders patterns are generally negative. And then the bigger pattern, sorry, of course, is this broader one here. And then there's another mini head and shoulders pattern there. I mean, talk about finding a lot of technical patterns. Look at that, another head and shoulders pattern. We get the breakdown. And of course, it's rallying back now to test. But if we draw the neckline here for the bigger head and shoulders pattern, so the pattern there that where this is the, my apologies for that move, where this is the left shoulder, this is the head, this is the right shoulder with little mini patterns in between, then you've got this sort of rising little squeeze pattern here, this little wedge pattern coming back up to test the neckline. So the neckline here has been broken. We're coming back to test. Now, of course, if it gets back up here, we'll have to say I was incorrect about this, but it's just looking like it's showing a lot of bearish signals, either on the short time frames, very short time frames, with little mini head and shoulders happening within the bigger head and shoulders. You've got this breakdown of the neckline, the return to test. Of course, let's clean the chart there. And if we go back to a 1 year, sorry, a daily candlestick chart, I've zoomed in more than a year. We can see again that was the pattern we were looking at. It's this sort of broadening wedge pattern, which is generally a bearish pattern. We're seeing the breakdown, and right now, as I make this video, it's retesting. So if it gets back to, I would say if it breaks this right shoulder high, so if it gets back to 116, 117, I'll be wrong. Of course, it can come up here and then sort of swing down, but it's showing bearish signs. And if we look at the bigger picture chart, the 5-year chart, we can see that you could draw an uptrend there and say, well, it's at least got to come back and test the uptrend. But if we bring in some of the other indicators, so if we go and look at our MACD and RSI, we can see negative divergence on the momentum indicators. So as the price making higher highs, negative divergence on the momentum indicators. And of course, this sort of, we've looked at these shorter term patterns here. So it would at least need to, you'd think, come back to test the trend line, test that $100,000 level. Point being is that it's showing negative signals on the charts, and it's probably an indication that stocks are, again, very overpriced. We're probably headed for a correction. Cheers.